What's up, everybody?
Welcome back to Mile Higher Podcast, episode 186.
And today we are talking about the future.
Yes, we are.
We're going to be talking about a few different topics within the whole greater topic of futurism, including AI, kind of where that's at, the metaverse, which I'm sure many of you heard Mark Zuckerberg talk about recently, which is both cool and yet very terrifying at the same time.
Yeah.
As well as some transhumanism and a little bit about the singularity, because it seems like we're cruising towards this future where man meets robot. It seems like it's inevitable and it's coming quicker than I think many of us even anticipate. So we're going to be kind of looking at some of the different technologies with both robots to AI, as well as the alternate versions of reality that are being created through augmented reality and virtual reality, and kind of just talk a little bit about what the future might look like for us humans here. So
the future freaks me out.
I think a lot of people get freaked out by the future. I mean, the more I've thought about it too, I used to be like gung ho about like all the technology that's going to come.
And, you were. You've always been like that on this show.
Yeah, I have. And I guess as of late, I've kind of changed my stance on that I'm very concerned about what our society will look like if we sort of leave the natural world behind. And at the same time, it's hard because, you know, the rest of the universe and civilizations that exist out there are probably far, far more advanced than we are already.
Yeah.
We've talked about the Kardashev scale when you're, sort of ranking a civilization, and we're not even a type 1 civilization yet. And there's type 4 or 5 out there in the universe. So
according to the Kardashev theory.
Yeah, according to this theory, right? Because we don't know for sure if there's life out elsewhere in the universe. But
we could be way behind others.
Yeah, we could look
most
like
likely are.
Cavemen here on Earth compared to other civilizations out there in the stars. So I think it's one of those topics that a lot of people just don't really think about because, we're so caught up in the present moment and the technology that we have right now that we don't even think about how far technology has come from like the 19. So if you're going to look at 1922 versus 2022, the worlds are
so different, completely different worlds.
Completely.
Yeah.
We're talking.
It's honestly insane.
It would be a huge shock to somebody if they were to time travel from 1922 to 2022 and see our world and vice versa. We'd be like, whoa, like this is completely different.
But then you think of what it's going to be in 2122.
Right.
And we're probably going to look outdated
old
as
fuck. Shit. Yeah. We're going to look ancient to them.
Yep.
And at that point, just at the rate technology is increasing, the computing power of the computer chip is literally like doubling in performance every year. And the, AI, machine learning, the algorithms that are being created as a result of artificial intelligence, it's truly incredible what we're actually creating. But at the same time, it's like, what does that world look like for us humans when our world all of a sudden becomes filled with artificial intelligence? We already carry artificial intelligence in our pocket around with us with Siri, right?
On our wrists.
On our wrists, exactly. Or Alexa, and Alexa's now on our vehicles. Alexa's in our house. And, it's inevitable that we are going to be forced to interact with artificial intelligence at some point. And then unless you go and live off the grid.
Well, it hasn't been hard to force people to do it so far. People have really gotten comfy with all of the technology we have now. It's just we're used to it. And
it's like convenience, right? Like as humans, we want life to be as convenient as possible.
Yeah, it's true.
So artificial intelligence provides that convenience for us. You have the entire world's worth of wealth of knowledge available to you at any time. You can literally ask Siri anything, and she's most likely going to give you an answer that you obviously didn't know. So I don't know. The future is very interesting. So we're going to dive into a bunch of very interesting topics within futurism here. But this episode of the Mile Higher Podcast is brought to you by Upstart, HelloFresh, Third Love, and Pretty Litter.
Also, before we get started, we wanted to let you guys know that if you are still doing some holiday shopping, that you should check out Higher Love Wellness, because we do offer 10% off to all of our Mile Higher listeners. It's code HOMIES. And yeah, check it out. Okay, you ready to jump into the future?
Let's jump into the future. So futurologists are people who study how human society has progressed to where we are today, as well as the rate at which technology is advancing in order to predict what human society will look like in the future. Sounds like a very cool job.
Mm-hmm.
These predictions include how humans will live, work, eat, travel, and socialize with each other. Futurologists want to see how technology might change every aspect of human life.
That truly would be a fascinating career.
Yeah, seriously. I don't even know how you even do that. Like, how do you even do that? You just
How do you get the training for it or go to school to learn about what doesn't exist yet? Yeah, that's confusing.
I guess you probably take like the technology that we have and you sort of start theorizing about what, how that technology will evolve over time.
And how it's already evolved. And
exactly. Right. I'm sure there's a method to it. Futurology or future studies is the study of how society might advance socially and technologically based on current events and trends. Futurism equals art movement and futurology equals future studies. Before we dive into some recent predictions futurologists have made, let's take a look at some of the things past futurologists have gotten right and what they have gotten wrong. So in 1999, a science fiction writer named David Gerald gave a tech magazine a description of what he thought the future of computers would look like. His predictions ended up being shockingly accurate, and he basically predicted the invention of smartphones and how they'd work. He predicted that in the future, there'd be a device the size of a deck of cards that would combine a television, cell phone, calculator, voice recorder, music player, camera, pocket organizer, and a beeper into one device.
And that probably sounded so insane back then.
They're like, what? All of those functionalities in one device? He also said that this device would be able to translate speech from any language, and he even predicted that the device would have a personal assistant function that sent texts, booked reservations, and arranged transportation when asked verbally. David called the device a PITA, which stood for Personal Information's Telecommunications Agent. It would also probably stand for pain in the ass, he said, because having all that connectivity is going to destroy what's left of anyone's privacy. And
ding,
boy,
ding,
was he
ding.
right. God.
Yeah. I kind of like the PITA.
PITA.
That's a good
like
name.
pita bread.
I want to call my
PITA.
phone my PITA.
Your PITA. That's what it is. David's predictions all basically became true. Smartphones are basically a continuously advancing version of the PITA, complete with personal assistants like Siri that can do things like translate speech and read or send text from our voice commands. He also predicted how much of a pain these devices would end up being and how bad they'd ruin our personal privacy. Because decades before David's PITA prediction, a book titled Future Shock was published in 1970. And Future Shock was written by the famous futurologist Alvin Toffler and his wife Adelaide Farrell. And the couple wrote the book as a prediction of what might change in the future of human civilization and how these changes might affect us. The book was a bestseller, and 2 years later, it was turned into a documentary. It's kind of a creepy one. The book's main idea is that in the future, humans will suffer a sort of psychological sickness in response to an overload of advanced technology called future shock. The author describes this sickness as a natural human reaction to being surrounded by too much technology that has advanced too quickly for us to keep up with it comfortably. Do you think people are already starting to suffer from this sort of psychological sickness from our technology? I think so. Through social media and stuff, like the amount of people that are having mental health issues as a relation to technology. I mean, social media is technology, and I would say that would fall under the sort of this future shock.
Yes, I would completely agree. I think everyone has experienced some type of technology addiction too.
Right.
And just feeling like you're constantly checking in on it, or you can't get off of it, or that every free moment you have, you want to pick up your phone or look at your watch or whatever it is. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I don't know if that's a psychological sickness. That's an interesting way to describe it. I definitely think it's affecting us and taking a toll on society. What do you think?
I think that the amount of screens that we have in front of us all the time is destroying our ability to concentrate on something for more than 5 seconds at a time. We constantly need stimulation, more stimulation. Yes. And I wonder if that impacts ADHD and our lack of ability to be able to zone in and hone in and focus on one specific thing at a time, where we need constant stimuli coming towards us. So
yeah, I definitely see what you're saying there. I've noticed that for sure. And I've always thought it was just ADHD, that I just want to be constantly distracted by something or have something going at all times. And that's why I go to my phone so much. But I don't know, maybe it's...
Or that the amount of stimuli that we have is making people be diagnosed with ADHD more often.
Right.
Maybe.
But I don't know. I feel like that's kind of hard to figure out because mental health is becoming more of an accepted thing to talk about, to learn about, to get help with. And so is it the technology that's making people have more diagnosis? Is it just the fact that we're more aware of mental health? And so naturally people are going to be more diagnosed because more people are seeking help.
That's probably part of it as well.
I don't know.
I just wonder what the statistics are on mental health cases like now versus like 50 years ago. And
they're way different because people wouldn't, like, kids weren't getting diagnosed with depression and anxiety or PTSD back then. You know, that was something that mostly just people from war or someone who experienced something really, really, traumatic.
Very uncommon.
Textbook description versus now we're finding out that kids can deal with depression. Not that they haven't before, but I don't think they were diagnosed before. Most of the time it was like, you're a kid, you have nothing to worry about. Like, get up, be happy, you're good to go.
Yeah.
What about the addiction to technology, though? Like, do you think that's a real illness? Like, do you think that's a real issue that
I think
we have?
so. I think it's an addiction like any other addiction.
Yeah. There are studies showing that and I think maybe I've talked about this before, that just the act of scrolling through your phone with your thumb gives you the same sort of rush of hormones as gambling, pulling the trigger in the slot machine.
Yep. That doesn't surprise me. It is. It really is a total addiction.
Well, and think about all of the real life things that you could go and experience that you can now experience virtually that still give people the same high, the same like release of endorphins. And I worry that with technology, the natural evolution of human beings is going to be slowed down or just take a different turn because of technology, as opposed to if we continued, living as human beings, especially without like artificial intelligence and virtual reality and augmented reality and things like that. Because if you think about it, how far we've come since we were cavemen to now, and we were out in the natural world, we're hunter gatherers, we had to have all of these natural skills that humans are basically forgetting now. Like, how many people can do the things that were required of us, in a more primitive time period, as opposed to now. We're just not, how many people could be dropped out in the middle of the wilderness and be able to survive out there forever? Small amount of people, right? Because we're all so reliant on technology now to service our every need. So that to me is a little worrisome as a species, as a natural biological species, versus, going this direction with technology where it seems inevitable that we merge into one on the track that we're on.
Well, even if we're not experiencing psychological sickness to a point where it's really going to damage us, it seems like we're eventually going to get to that point, because technology is just developing at such a fast rate that it's not going to be long until it is beyond us, really, and could, I think, affect us mentally much more, especially if it's integrated into everything we do.
Yeah.
Which it pretty much is right now, but at least it's on your device. It's not the rest of the world.
Well, what happens when technology can actually change the way you think and implant thoughts?
That's scary. That's a whole different discussion. And that is scary.
We completely lose our ability to just be a free thinking human being.
But isn't that such a gray area? Because you could argue that that's already happening just with the amount of crap that's being thrown at us constantly. And the thing about the internet especially is any opinion you have, you can find something on the internet that goes with your opinion and makes you feel right. But at the same time, it's kind of a gray area of when does the technology really start to affect our free thinking or our ability to make our own decisions. I feel like in some ways that's already been taken from us.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's totally where we're headed, and that it's already started. And it's not just going out and finding any opinion online that fits you. Your phone is automatically going to serve you those opinions the more it knows you. So are we having a very biased version of everything when we get on our devices? Absolutely.
100%.
So it is affecting free thinking.
Yeah. Not only is it affecting, our ability to think freely, but also it's affecting the natural world around us. And unfortunately, we've decided to go a route where technology is being prioritized and created to serve the needs of human beings as opposed to serving the natural world, and things like, you know, the convenience of Amazon Prime shipping to single-use plastics to all these things that make our life more convenient and our day-to-day, you know, life more convenient is coming at a cost to the natural world around us. So it's like, I feel like that is contributing to the sickness that is this technological overload we're all experiencing. Is
completely agree.
Can we go back from a life without Amazon Prime 2-day shipping? Can we go back from a life where you could just, you can just roll into the grocery store and get whatever you need off of the shelf? And
I feel like a lot of us could go back to that life just fine, but the majority, I mean, people are used to it now. We're used to living the way we are, and people are stubborn.
Rip that away, what happens?
It's not going to be good. Yeah.
People freak out. So that's really what this author, Alvin Toffler, was trying to get across in his book, was that if we paid more attention to how we change the world, we could harness the power of technological advances to make the world a better, more democratic, and more peaceful place to live, as opposed to sort of the direction we've headed instead. And obviously there's, it's more complex than that. There's huge corporations that are involved and creating this technology and the amount of money that's being made. And it's just like, we have all this technology and we are able to have all these cool virtual experiences, but it's like, how come we're still not able to reverse climate change yet? How come we're still not able to, pull all the plastic out of the ocean? Obviously there is technology out there.
Why isn't more technology resources being put towards things that can essentially save us in the end? Yeah.
Especially like big billionaires like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, like rather than like launching to the stars and like trying to colonize other planets, why don't they use those technological resources and make this planet habitable for the future? And it's like,
I was going to say,
well, what money is there into going into space? What do you think it is? You think that potentially they're going to go out and mine asteroids and and find some new energy source out there or something? Or is it, what is it, to
start their own colony?
Just get them off the planet because they know the planet's doomed?
Yeah, that's sometimes how it feels. I don't know why their reasoning is, but I'm sure they have plenty of reasons.
I'm sure they have plenty of reasons.
And I'm sure they're mostly financially motivated.
Right. And what's going to be best for them and their checking account versus the world.
I'm sure Bezos is already looking at a place to like build a space hotel. Yeah. How can I milk?
Tourism.
Right.
Tourism. How can I charge people to utilize this technology I've created and this base that I've created on the moon or Mars or whatever he ends up colonizing? So,
I mean, could you imagine if all of a sudden Expedia's like, type in going to the moon and it pops up?
Yeah.
It's like, we can get you in next week.
Yeah. I mean,
2 p.m. launch
and
time.
that sounds insane right now, but 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, is it that insane?
No,
I don't know.
It's not.
And 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, what is the planet going to look like? And if things are continuing going down the path that they are right now, it's not going to look good. And it's only a matter of time before we can't survive here. So the rich got to go somewhere. If you have the money to get the fuck out and go live on Jeff Bezos' new territory where it's nice and not burning around you and,
but you're in a bubble.
Why wouldn't you? Yeah, but at least you'll be saved, right? And your family will be saved. And
but there's 7 billion of us, so
I know.
Guess who's going to be able to go?
People
the richest of the rich.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you've got people living on this planet who still don't even have clean water, don't have electricity, don't even have internet access. And it's like,
imagine having the money that these guys have and not doing stuff for that. I
just don't know why you wouldn't want to be the hero of the world. Like if you're this rich and this wealthy and this smart and you have this technology at your disposal, like if it were me, and maybe that's the difference between, them and us. It's like we care about other people and they just don't care. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't make sense is what I'm saying. It just doesn't make sense why there isn't a billionaire that is like, I'm going to use all my money and resources in order to try to make the world a better place for everybody and go and bring these third world countries up to speed with the rest of us. And I know what the answer is because there's no making money from that. Like how do they make money? They're going to expend a ton of resources and cash, but how do they get that back other than the moral satisfaction of doing it? And unfortunately,
is that a driving factor for them? Probably not.
Right. So let's talk about some more predictions here. Some futurologists out there have predicted that we'll be carrying a lot less around with us in the future. Cryptocurrency. It may replace paper currency. We might pay for things using scans of our eyeballs or fingers instead of credit cards or cash. I think this is already like here. We're at the forefront of it, obviously, with the crypto revolution we're having right now. And I think the future is going to be without cash or credit cards. It is going to be, which is scary to think that your money will be attached to your thumbprint or something, you know, like you go into a store, you go to Chipotle and check out and you're having your retina scanned to pull money out of your account. Or, you know, you have a microchip in your finger that is your credit card and you're like tapping it, or just wirelessly. You know, I think we're going to a future where everything's wireless. I mean, you know, like the Amazon store, you know, those Amazon stores that already have been rolled out where you just roll in and you roll out. It automatically knows what you grabbed and charges you for what you put in your basket on the way out.
Oh, so it doesn't. Oh, I haven't.
There's no
heard of that.
checkout people anymore.
What?
They're gone. It's all wireless and done with technology.
There's not even a self scanner. You just walk out and they know.
No, you just walk through these sensors. When you walk in, it acknowledges who you are.
Yeah.
It pulls up your Amazon account.
Jeez.
And then you shop, and then you walk out, and somehow this technology knows exactly what you grabbed off of the shelves and charges your Amazon account for.
Well, it's probably preventing a lot of shoplifting. There's one plus to it.
True. But it's
now
also,
I'm thinking about future crimes, and if someone's eyeball gets them into their bank account, how many people will be forced, you know, I can't even think about it. It's
where people's biological limbs start getting stolen and taken out.
That's going way further than I was.
Oh, I thought you were saying like
no, I just meant like they were going to force them to go to the bank and show their eye. But
no, I think people just start digging people's.
Josh has to take it way further.
Josh's like, no, we will be taking the eyeball out of the.
That is crazy to think about, though.
It won't be stealing wallets; it'll be stealing eyeballs.
I have to say, like, there is a part of me that thinks like that's kind of convenient, especially for me, because I always forget my wallet. I'm always losing things, losing credit cards.
It's totally
happens to me all the time. And that's how they get us with all this shit is you start thinking, oh, that's kind of nice. That's convenient.
Also a technology that's becoming, you know, is up and coming in the US that's already implemented in China and other places is facial recognition technology, where in like China, they use that shit heavily in order to police the population and keep track of pretty much all of their citizens. And that world really scares me where, you know, they do have this facial recognition software where they can, you know, which from a crime perspective makes sense because facial recognition technology, we're going to catch way more criminals.
Oh yeah, think of all the crimes that could be solved right now.
Yep. If we all scan into this facial recognition
but yeah, it's scary.
But the flip side is like the abuse of power with that. You know, you get, especially in the hands of a government, if a government has that, the amount of control that they gain as a result is limitless pretty much because we're all just, you know, scanned into the system. Because nowadays, I mean, you can still disappear without a trace and nobody can ever find you. But if there's facial recognition technology, then that's going to completely change things. Another technology that is becoming more and more popular is the use of remotely operated drones for surveillance and crime prevention. That's starting to be used. We saw it used in the search for Brian Laundrie over, you know, the Carlton Reserve. I mean, drones are also definitely a part of the future. Amazon has already developed Prime Air, which they'll use to deliver your packages via a drone, which
I feel like we've heard about Prime Air for a long time. Are we actually seeing it at all?
I believe it's rolled out in some higher populated areas, or at least they're still testing it, but I think it's going to be implemented. I mean, it's inevitable that'll be implemented. Because think about how much more efficient it is to just fly a drone to some, you know, versus send a driver through traffic and through all these, you know, all these routes to get to someone's house when you can just fly it directly to them.
But with how many people get multiple packages, sometimes a day from Amazon, think of what the sky will look like. It'll be filled with fucking drones.
You go outside, it'll just be like,
yeah. Maybe they'll dress them as birds. Oh, maybe that's what the birds
Prime
are now.
Birds.
All birds are fake.
Oh yeah, that's a theory. Birds aren't real.
Maybe not. I don't know.
But that's kind of crazy because an Amazon delivery driver, like you said, has a truck with hundreds of packages in it, so they can make stops, along the way. Whereas a drone, I mean, I don't know, but I would assume is only holding 1 to 2 packages, maybe.
A couple things.
So what? It drops it off, then has to fly all the way back to the distribution to get another one. I feel like that's almost wasting more time.
So they would need a lot of drones.
Right. Either a lot of drones, or I think the more
you said drones.
drones. Or more realistically, I think it'll just be like their fastest level of shipping you can pay for. So if you want it like same day delivery, it'll rather than it go on a truck, it's going to come from a drone. Okay. Or if you want it right now, like I think that's the thing is like you want this product right now. Okay, well we'll have a drone deliver it to you within a half hour. Weird
because if you want something right now, just go to the store and get it.
Right, but we're in a world of convenience. People don't. Think about a lot of our ad reads and stuff. It's like all about convenience.
Be the death of us, though.
These brands are creating technologies and product lines and subscriptions that are all delivered to your door because ultimately the goal is to not go out to the stores anymore. It's to get everything at home.
Especially during after hours, stores close. So what happens if it's 11:30 and you want an Xbox? Well, Best Buy is closed, so your best bet is to go and use the drone to get it to you because drones don't sleep.
But then it becomes a question of, is it, who owns the airspace, and do you own the airspace above your home? Like, can you protect your airspace from a drone? Like if an Amazon drone flies over,
can you shoot that bitch out of the sky?
Shoot it down? Like, is that legal? And so that's where they're kind of hung up right now, is because they have to figure out how they're going to actually police the skies. And how do you know whose drone it is? How do you know, what's the difference between that drone and that drone? And before you know it, if there's a bunch of drones flying around, you could have Joe Schmo over here with his drone and he's spying on people.
That's
and
a big concern.
There's going to be an issue with that. So there's going to have to be some way to police the skies when it comes to drones. And I don't think they have an answer to that right now.
Keep your own airspace.
Yeah, what if you're like, fuck the drones? I don't want drones flying over my house. I don't know what they're doing.
But if your neighbor wants their package delivered, I mean, what can you do? That's their right. But is it your right to shoot it out of the sky if it's on your property?
Well, do you own the space above your house, above the land?
I don't think you do. Or do you?
I don't know, but if you do, for how high up? Because a plane flies over your head.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
For 30 feet in the air?
Yeah.
So as long as
it's
drone's
like in
40
your backyard, can you shoot it?
I don't know.
Or throw a rock at it or whatever. Can you, if it's in your yard?
Well, the other thing too, that now I think about it, is that they'll probably have them fly at a certain altitude where it's too high and then most people won't notice it, and it'll actually lower down onto the property of where it's delivering, which would make sense versus like, I'm like
going
jetting through your backyard.
Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense.
Dodging humans. And
do you own the airspace around your property?
Question.
Yeah, this is totally a gray area. It says the landowner owns as much of the air above the surface as she can reasonably use in connection with the surface.
Wait, what does that mean?
Like a tree house or something? Something that you can use.
Okay.
There had to have to be a use for that air to own it above your property.
Okay.
So you couldn't just be like, I own,
that does sound like a gray
all the
area.
way up to the clouds up there. That's all.
Let us know if you know any more clarification on that. It's interesting.
It is. It's an interesting question to ponder. But some other things that are really going to change the game are plant-based meat, which we've talked about before on here, like Impossible Beyond Burgers, and really I think the future is lab grown. I don't think everybody's going to switch to plant-based meat just because not everybody likes the taste of plant-based meat, but I think lab grown meat, we're using stem cells in order to grow, which is just such a weird concept to think about, like growing like a tenderloin in a lab. Like
something feels weird about that. But
if you're able to use, stem cells from animals in order to make that, why not?
Well, it could make such a huge change for us.
Yeah. And they're still, I know they're already working on this. There's already companies that have it. I don't think it's come to market yet. I don't think you can buy lab grown meat yet. I'm pretty sure you can only buy plant-based meat. So it'll be interesting to actually try lab grown meat to see how it compares to the meat from a living animal, because I mean, that's one of the biggest issues we have with the climate is just the amount of methane that's being released and greenhouse gases. And so if we were able to switch off of, live animals to lab grown meat, that could potentially save the world and change the world and provide food for, if you could build lab grown meat factories the size of, Costco's, like the amount of like, imagine like the amount of meat that you could grow.
Yeah. A lot of meat.
Amount of meat that could feed people
and way less resources.
Resources, exactly.
You don't have to feed it. You don't have to water it. You don't have to water the crops that it's eating.
Yep.
It's not pooping everywhere. And then that makes me think, because a lot of our meat products are injected with antibiotics, with chemicals, with the meat we eat is kind of fucking crazy. Unless, obviously you can eat locally or organic or whatever, but the mass produced stuff is not great. It's filled with stuff. So then
Especially
it makes me
pork.
think, it makes me think that if we can grow it in a lab, is the potential there for it to be
clean meat?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
I think so. I think it's the future, because I just don't think it's with the population rising, beyond 8 billion people. I mean, God, what, 50 or 100 years ago, we were like in the millions of people on the planet, and now it's exploded to billions. So it's going to get to a point where there's not going to be enough living creatures to harvest sustainably in order to feed that amount of people. So we're going to have to turn to other alternatives, such as plant-based meat and lab-grown meat.
And hopefully future generations will just be born into that.
Right. You grow up eating that. You're not like, it's not the real thing. And,
right. Because of course there will be people that don't want it no matter what. And that's fine.
I mean, I prefer the taste of a real steak versus a Beyond Meat steak, but it's not that it's bad. It's just the taste is not the same.
They haven't gotten it completely the same. Some of them are really impressive. Some of them are bad. Some of the fake meat. But some of them, pretty good.
Especially
I feel like it could get a lot better.
What have they not made plant-based yet?
You can't, as far as I'm aware, you can't go to the store and buy like a piece of steak, like a sirloin impossible steak. It's ground most of the time.
Yeah.
And I know that other places of the country and world offer a lot more products for plant-based meats, but I know in Colorado it's not great. It's really not great. It has grown a lot, though. I will say, like when I stopped eating meat 3 years ago, it was like there was like nothing in the grocery store it was like Gardein, and it tasted so bad. It was terrible.
Yeah, Gardein.
And there was
it's all right.
but now there's so many more products, and what's cool is other brands are like working with Gardein and Impossible and Beyond and whatever to make their products cater to people who don't eat meat. Like the other day, I bought a Marie Callender's pie that had Gardein chicken in it.
Oh, wow.
So,
there is plant-based chicken.
Oh, yeah. I love plant-based chicken.
Oh, interesting.
I've been eating
I was wondering, is there a plant-based pork product?
Yep.
So there's sausage. Yeah, there is sausage and bratwurst.
There's meatballs. There's
no like eggs, right?
Oh, yeah. There's plant-based eggs. Yep.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Just egg.
Oh, yeah. The one in the squeeze bottle.
Yeah, and then they also
is it
sell
actual physical egg?
Oh, no, not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I don't.
But I know that they sell like frozen egg, like patties, quote patty.
Yeah.
But it is growing rapidly.
It is. It's a huge industry.
Yeah.
It'll only continue to grow. So that's one thing that we can look forward to in the future, with everything else kind of looking bleak. Hopefully that can be.
Yeah, it'd be great too if they could make it so that it's healthier too. Because that's like the hard thing right now is like an Impossible burger versus a real burger. It's like, it's plant-based, but it's like, is it healthier for you? And it's really not.
But burgers aren't a health food,
True.
So I feel like the argument of like, well, it's not good for you. It's like, well, neither is a Big Mac, bro. Like, we're not doing it to make it healthier. But that would be cool if it was like really good for you. And maybe that would entice people to switch to it more if there was a benefit other than just the simple fact of not eating the animal.
Right, right. Well, I wonder too, because the other part of like when talking about food is seafood. I mean, that's a really tough one because we have overfishing issues and things like that. And fish, like, can we create a plant-based fish product?
They have it.
Do they really?
Yep.
They have plant-based fish.
Sure do. They've got plant-based like fish fillet thingies, little
like salmon
fish tenders. I don't know about like a block
like
of salmon.
Fish sticks or something like that.
Yeah, they
it's
have
like cod.
Oh yeah, I've had that before.
They have fake crab cakes. And then the thing is a lot of like, there's the products that are sold in the store, but then tons of people have created recipes to duplicate something. I bet if you looked up like vegan salmon recipes, something would pop
Someone
up.
has it.
There's a new brand I see all the time on Instagram that sells something that looks just like sushi, like sashimi.
Oh, wow.
In a pack. It looks exactly like it. I have no idea what it tastes like, but it looks just like it. And I saw the video of them cutting it. And I was like, that looks like a fucking thing of sushi, sashimi.
And imagine how much better it's all going to be in 10 years.
Right.
20 years.
Right,
30.
right.
Like, it's going to be
Yeah. I mean, I'm
so
really
much easier for the average person to make that switch, I think.
Totally. And hopefully more affordable too, because that's like a lot of people's issues with plant-based and alternatives like that is it's just it's more expensive, right? You know, if you go to Walmart, like a lot of people are going to get, you know, what's the best value for the money.
Well, over time it should even out a little bit more price-wise.
Yeah. Well, hopefully there can be, you know, there's more competition and, you know, hopefully that drives prices down. And I'm holding out for lab-grown seafood. Like, I think we can get to a point where, you know, you could lab grow a salmon fillet or lab grow shrimp or something like that. And which also leads you to cloning, like cloning technology. And this is something they're working on right now, is cloning and using DNA technology, not only to clone an animal, because that could be like fish. Like if you were able to take a bunch of salmon, clone them tenfold and, you know, just create more and more salmon, or, you know, lesser intelligent creatures that, you know, chickens and things like that. If you're able to just shrimp, things like that, you could clone it in order to create a larger food supply with it. Would be very interesting. And scientists are also working on reviving extinct creatures through this DNA and cloning technology. Like they're working on being able to bring back animals like woolly mammoths or dodo birds back from extinction through this new technology. How cool would that be?
That'd be amazing.
Imagine going to the zoo. You got the African elephants and you got the woolly mammoth next.
So cool. Well, hopefully they wouldn't.
The saber-toothed tiger. No, they're really
put them in the zoo though.
Well, they put it in some type of
it'd have
facility.
to be something. Well, where else?
True.
Or put it, I guess they'd put them out in the wild too.
Yeah.
If they could survive out there.
That'd be crazy to have dodo birds.
A lot of interesting things happening with DNA technology. Also in the future, our vacation options will expand a lot. Space travel continues to develop, like we talked about earlier. Flights to hotels out in space, colonies on other planets like Mars. I think that's a very real possibility. I actually saw, I didn't even tell you about this, but I almost put my name down for a trip to space. It was a $500 deposit. And it's this company that has created, it's totally safe, they say. And they say, I haven't seen it in action yet, but it's a company. I'll have to look it up what it is, but you pay $500 and you can reserve a spot on a high altitude balloon that will take you, you're in this nice cabin, just drink. It's like
Drinking what?
It's like the wheel in Vegas. It's that type of
the high roller.
The high roller. It's like
except
taking
it's
around
a lot higher.
But you go to space. Yeah, you just hop in this little thing.
What if your balloon doesn't stop floating up and you just eventually?
I think they have safety measures where you parachute back down to Earth.
Is it so it's not anchored to the ground?
So you almost signed up for this, but you have no idea how the fuck it works.
No, I do. No, I do know how it works. Here, let me look it up real quick. It's called spaceperspective.com. So it's literally like the high roller type of experience where there's windows all the way around it. There's 9 reclining plush seats for 8 space explorers and a pilot. There's a lavatory below the main deck. There's Wi-Fi connection.
What? And this already exists? People can do this already?
Yeah, you can book it right now. It says space flights, your wait to fly will never be shorter. Over 500 seats reserved. Space flights for 2024 sold out.
Oh, for 2024.
Book your space flight now for 2025 and beyond.
Damn, that's wild looking. It really does look like the high roller in Vegas. Now I see what you're saying.
It looks fun.
So it's not okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
I was literally picturing a hot air balloon and like laying in a basket.
No. This is a special like high-tech space balloon.
Whoa, that is cool.
So it'll have
sign up now.
Yeah, it'll have a back. No, you can sign up for 2025. Take us and the kids up to space. But that's like the future. It's gonna go. Looks like 100,000 feet in the air. So higher than commercial jets.
Oh, it's only 6 hours from launch to landing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty.
It goes up a couple hours.
That's
you hang
fast.
out. Yeah, I would do it.
So in 20 years, this is going to be something people are doing all the time.
Yeah, we'll probably do it at some point because it'll just be it'll be tried and true, tested, safe.
How much is it? You have to put down a $500 deposit, but how much?
Oh, it's much more than that.
Price per seat. Oh shit!
Yeah, it's a lot.
$125,000.
Oh, we will not be doing that.
No,
yes, it is. That is a lot.
I will be doing this.
That's like a child's whole college fund.
Yeah, once our child goes to college, I'll be doing more.
Okay, yeah, we'll see. We shall see about that.
Oh, there's Wi-Fi on board. Thank God for that, people.
Oh, good. We can upload.
That way you can post. Yeah, you can post to socials.
Do a live stream.
Yeah, live stream from space. That'd be lit. All right, we are going to take a quick ad break and then we'll be right back.
If you dread looking at your credit card statements, you're not alone. The weight of debt can be crippling, but Upstart can help you on your path to financial freedom. Upstart is the fast and easy way to pay off your debt with a personal loan all online. I know I've probably said this before, but when I turned 18, I got a bunch of credit cards, and over a few years, I managed to rack up, a few $1,000s worth of credit card debt. And at the time, I was working for basically minimum wage, and so it was very difficult to pay that debt off. And I actually ended up using a personal loan, much like what Upstart helps you find, in order to consolidate that credit card debt into one payment and actually made it manageable to get debt free, which there's no better feeling than being debt free. So whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 1 million people have used Upstart to get one fixed monthly payment with a clear payoff date. Rather than looking at credit score alone, Upstart considers other factors like your income, current employment, and credit history to help you find a smarter rate for your loan. You can check your rate without impacting your credit score in minutes for loans between $1,000 to $50,000, and you can receive funds as fast as 1 business day after accepting your loan. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/milehigher. That's upstart.com/milehigher. And don't forget to use our URL to let them know we sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Again, check out upstart.com/milehigher today.
We all know how hectic the holidays can be and how busy we can all get during this time of year, but HelloFresh keeps things simple with recipes that cut down on meal prep and cleanup time so you can spend less time in the kitchen and more quality time with friends and family. HelloFresh offers 50 menu and market items every week to choose from, including vegetarian, calorie smart, and gourmet options, providing plenty of variety. And their ingredients travel right from the farm to your door in a week, so you get convenience without skimping on the quality. Plus, you can skip trips to the grocery store and avoid those long holiday lines because we all know they are brutal. And HelloFresh meals are easy and quick. They are ready in about 30 minutes or less. And HelloFresh's market has this season's entertaining covered with options like their holiday cheese and charcuterie board and skinny dipped dark chocolate peppermint almonds. They also have some other limited time goodies for the holiday season like ginger spiced cake truffles and cherry cheesecake swirl bars. And you can save on average $65 per month when you order HelloFresh instead of grocery shopping. That's more money for you to spend on presents and activities this holiday season. This month is always so busy for us, and having HelloFresh around is just so nice to know that, we don't really have to think much about what we're going to eat that night because we're so busy throughout the day. It's always easy, it's always delicious, and it's always right there for us. So check it out now at HelloFresh.com/milehigher14 and use code milehigher14 to get up to 14 free meals and 3 free gifts. That's HelloFresh.com/milehigher14 and use code milehigher14 to get up to 14 free meals and 3 free gifts.
The next topic we're going to talk about is artificial intelligence, because this is one that's already heavily integrated into our lives and is going to continue to change the way we live here on Earth. Because humans already rely on artificial intelligence for lots of everyday things, and you may not even know that you're using artificial intelligence when you actually are, like autopilots on planes, ABS in cars, algorithms on social media platforms like TikTok and YouTube, or virtual assistants like Alexa and Siri are just a few examples of AI technology we use on a day-to-day basis. And with the rise of advancing AI, millions more AI engineers will be needed in the workforce in the coming decades. Self-driving cars are one of the latest advancements in artificial intelligence. Tesla's already begun to roll out self-driving features in their cars, and some models are able to drive without constant human control or do things like drive themselves to the front of a grocery store autonomously. These self-driving cars still have a long way to go, though, before people can drive them completely autonomously. In fact, in 2018, one of Uber's self-driving vehicles killed a pedestrian, which was the first recorded pedestrian fatality involving a car that was driving itself. That is going to be an issue. I feel like we're going to see more and more accidents as self-driving continues. And a lot of vehicles have some sort of functionality where it will take over steering for you and pedals for you on the highway and the highway only. But that to me is like,
I could never do it.
I don't know if I could just sit back and relax while my
People
car...
take naps in their Teslas.
Yeah.
That would scare me so bad if I looked over and saw a Tesla just driving by itself.
Until you see it enough times to where it becomes normal.
I guess so. I don't know. That
sounds
is
wonderful
really
to me.
scary.
Yeah.
Take a nap in the car, great.
Well,
it does sound nice, but could you actually fall asleep?
Maybe not the first 5-10 times, yeah, but I think eventually if it's, I've been using it for 5 years. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Would people go on more road trips if they didn't have to drive?
Probably.
If you could just like hang out with your family while your car takes you where you need to go. And then you can
sleep during the night and the car you'll wake up and you've
still
covered all this mileage.
Will that take care of DUIs to a large extent if people aren't drinking and driving?
God, that would be great. That would be one thing that would be really beneficial is like if the car became smart enough where it could smell alcohol in your breath and it just like
let you even
took over, turn manual controls off. I will drive you home. And it drives you home.
You are wasted.
Yeah. You are
not driving.
You are over the legal limit. But self-driving cars is just one place where artificial intelligence is playing a role. It's also led to the rise of deep fakes, which this is scary stuff.
Yeah.
Deep fakes, which is where pictures and videos are created or edited by advanced artificial intelligence, which look almost identical to the real people. So you're able to take someone's face and slap it on somebody else's body and make it look real.
Yeah, this actually happened recently to Addison Rae.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, and I saw the video too. And
oh, you saw the video?
Yeah, and I was like, ooh, that's not good.
Was it graphic?
Yeah, it was like a DP scene of her.
Oh,
or of a deep fake.
Wow.
Yeah. No, and that's why, no wonder she's upset. I mean, like, God,
and it's fake.
Horrible. Right. It's some other porn star in it.
That is so scary.
And it was deep faked with her face on it. And it looks like, when you watch it, it looks like it's her. But it's obviously not her body. It's just her face. But it's really crazy. I mean, the fact that people can do this. I mean, there's people on YouTube that do deep fake videos for like, that's just what their channel is. It's not like this technology's, limited to like certain people. Like anybody can figure out how to do this and do it. And that's kind of a scary future. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you can make it look like somebody's doing something that they're not actually doing in a video. That's really scary. I mean, hopefully people don't deep fake our faces and put it on weird stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Please do not. Oh God. Getting bad images.
There's so many potential problems with deepfake technology. I mean, these AI systems can make harmful things like deepfake revenge porn, blackmail material, or fake celebrity porn videos. They can also be used to spread disinformation and hoaxes by creating fake videos of people like government officials or celebrities. I mean, politicians in the future could lose elections based on fake, hyper-realistic videos of them saying offensive things created by AI. And people would believe it because people believe anything they see on the internet.
It's hard to tell the difference too. Some of these deep fake videos are so good.
Deepfakes is going to be a huge issue and it's going to have to be addressed in some way, but how do you regulate that?
Yeah.
And what happens if it's used in crimes and criminals start deepfaking filmed the crime and they just deepfake somebody else's face on it to try to pass blame to somebody else? And how are the authorities going to know it's a deepfake video?
Well, won't they be able to look at the video file itself and there's probably going to be an expert to prove if something is authentic?
Yeah, but at the highest levels of law enforcement, I mean, I don't think the local PD
they'll bring someone in though. If it's down to someone going, putting someone away for murder.
True.
They'll make sure it's real if there's any question about it. I mean, hopefully, damn.
I mean, I can just see cases now where someone's being wrongfully convicted and they're sitting in prison for decades. And then all of a sudden we figure out, oh, it's a deep fake. And they get out.
Oh my God. I hope not. That's horrific.
It is.
And there's going to be ways if not already ways for people to release deep fake videos without any traces of them attached to it. And there's no way to trace it back to the person that created it. I mean, there's tons of things that could happen with that. But let's talk about some robots and robotics, because that's the other part here is if you couple AI with robot technology, that's when things truly start getting a little scary, in my opinion. There's robots right now that are being used in grocery stores that perform tasks like alerting workers to products that need restocking or warning shoppers of spills near them and even sometimes cleaning up these spills. Here's a grocery store robot. I haven't seen one of these yet in my local grocery store yet, but that's honestly pretty cool. Like,
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah. Just a future where you're out and about and you're dodging or walking around robots that are just moving around you.
Well, there are the, what company is it? Uber or, oh no, Postmates has the little robot cars.
The delivery. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
The robot I guess it's not a car. What is it?
Dog.
Like a rover.
Vehicle?
It's like a rover.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's that. There's companies like Amazon who use robots to work in their warehouses, and these robots move products around and help ship high volumes of orders. If you thought it was all humans in Amazon warehouses, it is definitely not. They're utilizing tons of robotics there.
Wow.
Yeah, some colleges are starting to use robots to deliver food to students' dorm rooms in response to the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Police departments have begun using robotic police dogs. These robots are supposed to help officers assess any potential danger hazards at a crime scene. Instead of sending a real dog after a potential
put them at
threat,
risk. Yeah.
you send a robo dog.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense to me.
But I worry about, they get comfortable with that tool, and then what happens is people just start sending robot dogs after everybody.
But dogs often are sent into really hazardous, scary situations. And if they could send a robot instead, that's great.
Yeah. In San Francisco, some private companies have even bought intimidating robots to keep tabs outside their businesses. And these robots are supposed to scare homeless people off from the outsides of their businesses. Some futurists hope that one day we can develop human-like AI robots that will perform some of our work for us, like checking us out at grocery stores, delivering our packages, and organizing our warehouses. Or maybe we will have robot kitchens where specialized robots prepare food customized to each individual diner. The robots will take into account your personal taste preferences and dietary restrictions like lactose intolerance or veganism, and then prepare your food based on these preferences. And they'll also fortify the food with extra nutrients you need. It's kind of cool.
But I mean, who's going to have a job anymore?
Yeah.
Robots are going to take over literally everything. And we're almost to 8 billion.
Yeah, what are people going to do?
This is going to screw us over.
People are going to be like obsolete. Like, what does a human do? Especially if you're not, you don't have higher, education or something like that, or special skill set that is needed anymore, and the robots replace that.
Yeah, they're looking into robots for driving trucks.
Yep. Or just the truck driving itself.
Do?
Yeah. Tesla's has self-driving semis.
That's
so all the truck
scary.
drivers that are out there that are driving semis in the future could potentially not have a job because they're not going to be required, a human's not going to be required anymore.
I think that's the scariest part of all this AI. One of the scariest things.
Yeah. Is like the humans becoming obsolete for these jobs. Mm-hmm. What will they do?
Obsolete on our own planet, in our own society.
Right.
That's
and when the AI is smarter than you and it can outthink you, it can outdo you in every way.
Yeah, then you have an iRobot situation.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of iRobot, robots have been created that use AI to mimic human movements and facial expressions and even have conversations with humans. And some of these humanoid robots are truly scary. There was one that I posted about on Twitter where it was just a video of a humanoid robot making facial expressions and just moving around. And it was truly scary because it looks so real. Like the ability of it to move its eyes and eyelids and things like that and make these faces that look truly human is very scary. And then of course there's Sophia, which I think we talked about Sophia here on this show a while back. But yeah, Sophia, she uses AI software to walk, talk, move her face, and she looks very human-like.
Very human-like.
Yeah,
she was modeled after Audrey Hepburn, right?
Yep. And I now remember why we talked about her is because she was the first citizen robot that was given citizenship by Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
Like,
I remember that. That is so wild. And that happened in 2017.
Yep.
Welcome, Britt.
Nice to meet you.
I am so happy to finally meet you. Please don't touch.
Okay.
Is this my good side? I need to look good for my fans.
The AI humanoid robots is what really scares me because it's like in that movie Her, where the main character falls in love with his phone's highly advanced AI personal assistant. Like, could humans get to a point where they don't even need that human-to-human contact anymore? I mean, even sex robots have come a long way too.
Really?
Literally. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like you can.
How do you two know?
Oh, a lot. I read articles and stuff.
Okay.
Can't say I've shopped for one or anything because I don't need one, but I'm interested in it because it's like it's interesting.
It is interesting,
but it's also scary because there's a guy that's like married to two of his robot. Like he literally is like in a relationship with
but
his
like
sex
who cares
robots. Right. If that's what he wants to do, then
you can marry a robot for all I care.
Fine.
Yeah,
sure.
that's true.
It could,
if he's happy, then who gives a shit?
Could solve solve issues, people that are
lonely, just need companions, friends even.
And if you can talk to it and it looks real, you can customize them. You can make it look like whatever type of woman robot you want, give it whatever features you want.
Yeah, that's really wild to think about, because then you start thinking, could people create robots that look just like loved ones who have passed away? Like ex or spouses that have passed, or children that have passed, and they're there kind of, but they're not.
Artificially, though.
Yeah.
Because how would you capture the essence of that human being and put it into a robot?
Well, with how good technology is getting, for all we know, maybe you upload some of their DNA.
And they're able to just extract the characteristics from it. Maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised if something like that exists one day.
If you had a recording of your loved one's voice and they could take that and have and program
remember
it.
They already started doing this with holograms. They did this on the Kardashians with her dad.
Which was insane, dude. That was so realistic.
And then we showed a clip, I think, on this show.
Yeah, we did.
Of a mother reconnecting with her daughter who had passed away in a virtual world.
Yep.
I don't know. I think that could be very helpful. I don't know.
But then again, are you, is it losing the human touch?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Is the human experience, is it going to change completely? Are we going to value humans the same way that we value robots? And are robots going to, at what point do robots become one and the same with us?
Right.
It's really crazy to wrap. It's kind of scary, honestly, to think about what future human beings will be like, and how will people even talk to each other anymore, or will everything be virtual and electronic? Is there going to be any face-to-face interaction? Any
I hope so.
Hand holding with couples are
I think so. I think that stuff will still exist.
Maybe. Hopefully, maybe there'll be a small portion of the population that lives that way, but the rest of the population lives in this interconnected world where robot meets human. Literally an iRobot situation. Well, this is an interesting type of robot too, called xenobots, and these are the first living robots. The xenobots were created from the stem cells of an African clawed frog, and scientists found that the tiny xenobots reproduced using kinetic replication, a form of reproduction that's never been seen before in any whole cell or living organism. Let that sink in. Xenobots are robots that can self-replicate.
That is concerning.
On their own.
Extremely concerning.
That is...
We don't even know what to say.
Yeah, that's takes your breath away. The scientists used AI to make the xenobots reproduce better using the kinetic replication method. And the fact that the tiny xenobots were a mix of biology and robotics and could self-replicate made some scientists concerned. However, researchers reassured them that xenobots' tiny size made them easy to wipe out if there's too many of them.
You just kind of click a button and then they all die.
Yeah, or you squash them like little bugs.
Smash them like bugs. So.
But let's move into this world of virtual reality and the metaverse, because this has kind of been, the buzzwords lately out there with Mark Zuckerberg renaming his company to Meta. But before we get into that, we're going to take our last break and we'll be right back.
Guys, the holidays can be so hectic and stressful, especially trying to find a gift for every single person on your list. It can be really hard. When you give the gift of third love, you are gifting comfort. Ultra soft loungewear for mom, fun sleepwear sets for your sister, premium activewear for your friends, and luxe intimate sets for that special someone. Gifting third love means gifting joy and feeling good in all-day wear that hug better, hold stronger, and support longer. Or treat yourself to comfort. Give yourself what you really want this holiday season. Third Love obsesses over every stitch in their underwear, loungewear, and activewear. So putting on your essentials feels like indulging in yourself every day. While trends come and go, Third Love has always stayed true to one notion. We do comfort, and you do you. Third Love brings comfort from the sheets to the streets with the softest sleepwear, luxe, washable silk, and bras that you won't want to take off when you get home. Third Love has 90,000 five-star reviews that don't lie. And their bras are available in half cups, and underwear, loungewear, and activewear come in extra small through 3X. And Third Love has a very cool and unique fitting room quiz that's kind of like a personal shopper, but better because it focuses on size, breast shape, current fit issues, and your personal style to find bras and underwear that are perfect for you. The fitting room has helped 18 million women find their true bra size. It worked for me, and you could be next. You will love your fit, guaranteed. If not, exchanges and returns are free for 60 days. And Third Love's team of expert fit stylists are available via chat and text to answer all of your questions. Plus, Third Love is the largest donor of undergarments in the United States, donating over $40 million worth of bras to help people in need. You guys, feeling is believing. So upgrade to everyday pieces that will love your body just as much as you do. Right now, you can get 20% off your first order at thirdlove.com/milehigher. That's 20% off at thirdlove.com/milehigher.
It's the holiday season, and one of my favorite scents is the smell of fresh pine. I love the way that Christmas trees just smell and how it just fills the whole house with this absolutely amazing scent. But did you notice I didn't say the smell of a litter box? Yeah, that's because no one wants their home to smell like kitty litter. And you know, most cats can drop some bombs. Especially as it gets colder, we want to spend more time inside and we don't want to smell that nasty poop smell. That's why now's the perfect time to switch to Pretty Litter. Pretty Litter's ultra-absorbent crystals trap odor instantly. Unlike conventional litter where it really doesn't trap the odor, even though it often claims to, with Pretty Litter, there's less scooping and much better odor protection. Nothing smells worse than cat pee. Well, Pretty Litter eliminates it completely. And their crystals last up to a month, which means less scooping and fewer trips to the garbage can. Nothing's worse than scooping a litter box with conventional litter and you're getting it all up in your face. There's dust in the air. Well, Pretty Litter takes care of that for you. Pretty Litter's super light crystal base also minimizes mess and dust, and your allergies will thank you. My allergies have gotten way better since I've started using Pretty Litter, that's for sure. And here's the coolest thing about Pretty Litter. It literally changes colors to help detect early signs of potential illness in my cats, including urinary tract infections and kidney disease, which is absolutely amazing. Because with cats, you really don't know when they're sick oftentimes, and they usually hide when they have an illness. But with Pretty Litter, if you notice there's signs of their litter changing different colors, it can detect blood and other things like that. You actually know that now's the time to take your cat to the vet, and maybe you can help mitigate the damage that one of these illnesses might cause your beautiful kitty. Make the switch to Pretty Litter today. It's just good sense. Go to prettylitter.com and use promo code MileHigher for 20% off your first order. That's prettylitter.com, promo code MileHigher for 20% off. Again, that's prettylitter.com. Use promo code MileHigher. So let's talk about virtual reality and augmented reality, which I just want to define the two real quick. So augmented reality is basically when you use a phone is the most common way. For example, Pokemon Go, which we partaked in when... Partaked in.
We did partake
quickly
in Pokemon Go.
When it first came out.
Yeah, we were into it for a while there. So fun.
So that's augmented reality because you use your phone and you're like looking around to find the Pokemon. Mm-hmm. And the Pokemon are there, but it's obviously the real world still there.
Yeah.
And you don't need anything other than a phone or like Google Glass when that first came out years ago. And, you know, that's allowed you to kind of see, like look through these Google Glasses.
Did anyone actually use Google Glasses?
There's one kid at my high school that actually got a pair. And he started wearing around at school and stuff.
Back in 2010?
Yeah.
Damn.
I was like, how'd you get those? I think his dad had some connection or something with Google, but yeah, they kind of faded out. Yeah, he would just like wear them around all the time. Like, dude, you could be like cheating on all of your stuff with that thing. Like, you could have like a calculator up there. Although I think the teachers figured out it was Google Glass because he looked ridiculous with them on.
Yeah, I was going to say how much they look like regular glasses.
It's like, they don't look really like regular glasses. They just have like this little thing up here that projects like for you. I believe I never even tried them, but augmented reality is basically that where now like stadiums use augmented reality to do these really cool things with their mascots and stuff, and you can like see it through your phone. Whereas virtual reality is where you actually wear some sort of device and you're transported from the real reality into this virtual one that's being powered by a computer or gaming console or something like that. And we bought the Oculus Rift, the first gen when it came out.
Oh yeah.
Where I plugged it into my gaming computer and then we could fire up these virtual reality games.
Yeah. The coolest part about that actually in my opinion, was you can use Google Maps on it and look up any place, like even your childhood, hometown or old house or Disneyland or whatever it is. And it'll take you there and you can look around and get a 3D view of, different parts of the world. Yeah, that was the coolest part of it to me, was playing with the Google Maps. And I'm sure the technology is way better than it was.
Oh yeah, that was like the first gen. So it was like kind of like it was uncomfortable, and like if you looked a certain way or if it wasn't on just right, it would like you'd kind of like be able to see out around you. But now they're getting so much better than they used to be.
And half of the experience, I really think, is the sound. The sound's amazing. It's just like
the surround sound while also being immersed in this world. Like you really feel like you're transported out of the reality.
I can't do it for longer than 20 minutes or so before I'd get sick.
Yeah, that's what I've never understood. Is like there's people that hardcore game these VR games.
Well, you must get used to it.
Yeah. And just for perspective, like I was wondering just myself from 2014 to 2018, so this is probably far more, but the total number of active virtual reality users worldwide is forecast to be around 171 million as of 2018. So this is now almost 4 years later. It's probably even higher than that. And around 16 million of these consider themselves to be hardcore gamers. Wow. So you're talking somebody that could potentially be spending 6, 8 hours, 10 hours in a virtual reality headset in a virtual world.
That can't be good for you. I don't know. I mean, like, do whatever you want, obviously, but I feel like that's where things could get potentially, hazardous for us as humans.
The sickness, it goes back to the psychological sickness from technology. And I mean, for example, one of the popular apps games for VR is VR chat. Mm-hmm. And actually, I tried it out one time, and it's very interesting because it's like you're an avatar, but you're communicating with your own voice, and you're able to move around in this virtual world, and you're communicating with other avatars that are also kind of in the same world with you. And people just straight up like hang out in this virtual world and talk to their friends and do things together.
It seems like that is what the Zuck is trying to do with Metaverse.
Yeah, the Zuck is trying to change the way we use the internet and pull us in, from the traditional methods of using the internet to this world, as he calls, metaverse. Mm-hmm. And the metaverse is this potential future version of the internet where people will connect to virtual reality devices and interact with others with avatars, much like in VR chat has right now, but on a much grander scale. In the metaverse, we'll not only be able to play video games and hang out with friends, we'll work, we'll get fit, learn, and shop. We'll attend VR meetings, take VR city tours, hang out in VR clubhouses, shop in VR stores, attend VR concerts.
That's kind of cool, though. If you think about it, obviously it's way better to go to a real concert, but if you're just chilling at home at night and it's like, oh, so-and-so Casey Musgraves is playing tonight, tune in. I'd be like, hell
but
yeah.
But it's an avatar of Casey Musgraves.
Oh, it's just an avatar of her?
We're all avatars.
I thought it would be like there's an actual concert. Well, here's someone's a clip. VR filming from it.
We'll play a clip of a VR concert here.
Sometimes I think I overthink, and I start to feel anxiety.
So I guess you could, through a virtual reality concert, it wouldn't necessarily be like avatars performing. It'd be like the real band performing, and it'd be like you were there.
But some of them are avatars. It looks like.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is I think in certain in the metaverse, it would be avatars of the people performing live, which is weird. Like, would you guys want to go to a virtual concert or the real thing? I
can't see myself really wanting to use virtual reality for anything other than feeling like I'm transporting somewhere. Like I said, with the Google Maps, attending a concert virtually, attending something virtually, I could see myself enjoying that. But just to hang out there with some other avatars, I don't understand. There's no part of me that would want to like hang out with you guys in a little fake room in a spaceship. Well, when I can see you in person.
Think about when FaceTime just started becoming popular. I feel like a lot of people are probably like, why would you necessarily want that? You could just call them up. Wouldn't it be more fun? But it's still your
real face, though.
Yeah, but what?
Yeah, you're right. I guess in that sense, wouldn't it be more fun families,
if we like all got a big family reunion with our, cousins in California who we don't get to see, if we all got to go into a big room and like hang out for the night?
Actually, yeah. I mean, when you put it that way, it does sound kind of cool. Like getting to see people that you may not see often, or they live somewhere different than you, or a friend is overseas for some reason, and being
attend
able to
an event together that you wouldn't otherwise not be able to.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool, but also very concerning because people will want to just live in that world. They will prefer it over their regular lives.
It's more
and
convenient.
I feel like they'll just abandon their regular lives.
Right. That's the worry is like, if you give people unlimited access to this type of world, will they choose it over the real thing?
I think a lot of people would.
I think they would too. And especially with the way currency is going. And I mean, in the metaverse, he's talking about being able to use Bitcoin and all of these crypto coins in order to buy NFTs and digital goods, but also real goods through the virtual world. I mean, I guess that's kind of already happening.
Yeah,
I mean,
that is.
That's not really anything new, but I mean, he's also talking about people, with the pandemic and everything and everybody working from home or going to school online. Like, what if you did it virtually? Like, what if you could do your job virtually through VR?
I could see that being very appealing to a lot of people.
But how do you take work being done in a VR world and translate that to real life?
I don't know.
Especially like
it's beyond our understanding. Our kids could be working in that type of environment,
No.
They could be.
No, I will shut that down.
Our kids are going to be what? Gen Alpha? Is that the next?
Is it back to,
I think that's what it's called. The next one after.
We're moving to like a Greek name?
I think so. Like Generation Alpha. What are the years?
According to Google, it says from 2010 to 2024 is Generation Alpha.
So what's next? Because we're almost to 2024. So
beta?
Our kids could be betas.
Betas. Yeah.
According to Reddit, it's from 2024 to 2040.
So yeah, Gen Beta.
Wow.
That's kind of a lame name. I don't know if it's actually called that.
Well, if Gen Alpha is that, then why wouldn't it be Beta?
Yeah, maybe it is.
It would obviously be Beta.
Well, Beta is probably going to be more advanced than Alpha, so that doesn't make much sense.
This is just getting out of control.
It really is.
This future is starting to not seem so good.
I keep thinking about what if in 100 years from now, some researcher watches this episode to see what old humans were thinking about all this new technology for research purposes.
Yeah.
They're probably just shocked by how dumb we sound.
We found this old podcast, this weird thing called a podcast.
They were just talking
with microphones.
And upload it.
And they made the topic about the future and what they thought it was going to be like.
Man.
It's weird. It's really trippy.
I'm scared for this VR future though. And I think the sickness is real. I think that's absolutely real. People are going to be sick. They're going to be addicted to this virtual world.
Yeah.
And what happens to the real world? Who's going to keep that running?
That's the concern.
And what kind of control can you exert over a virtual world? I mean, whoever creates the virtual world ultimately owns everything. They how do you own, I guess, with blockchain and everything, I guess there's methods to doing transactions in this type of world, but it's how is that going to be regulated? How, what if you do a crime? What if you kill somebody in the VR world? Does that translate to a real world offense?
I was thinking about that too. How would that work?
Yeah. Because that Grand Theft Auto is going to be a VR game before you know it.
Oh my God.
And people are going to be running around in VR and Grand Theft Auto, murdering people, going on ramp. What is that going to do to the human psyche? What's that going to do to people? How is that going to translate to real life? Is it going to translate? Or are people going to be able to keep what's virtual in the virtual world? Or when they come out of the virtual world, they're like, oh, I did that in VR. No problem. I'm going to go in the real world and do the same thing.
Everyone felt so bad for our parents growing up because we had computers and cell phones were just starting. We are the ones who are really going to be screwed with our kids because this stuff is absolutely insane.
It really is.
And it's getting just so out of control. And the rate that it's developing scares the shit out of me. Truly.
Yeah. I worry about the control aspect too, the ability to control. I mean, you can really control the narrative if we're all plugged into fucking Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse, we already have issues with these big tech corporations doing, censoring and things like that. So
I have a question about the metaverse. Why is he not wearing VR goggles in the video?
Well, he's talking about, I think he's talking about having some sort of augmented reality as well. So it's VR and AR together.
How would you view it though?
Yeah.
Maybe I've heard people talking about contacts, maybe.
Yeah. It's going to be some wearable technology. And in the video, I believe it is some like contacts or something, lenses you put on your eyes that you just wear that allows you to see this whole other virtual world without having to look any different.
So you won't even be able to notice if someone has their device on them.
Right. That's the scary
weird.
part. Yeah. Is what are they actually
How will teachers
seeing?
deal with that? Literally how?
Yeah. How do you
all right, kids, leave your contacts at the door. Like what?
No, the class will be in the virtual world.
That's so weird.
Where it'll be controlled from there. But then it's like what
weird.
Real world becomes obsolete at that point. So then what happens if people just check out of the real world and they only live their life in the virtual world? What happens to those people in the real world? They're still going to age. They're still going to
eat, right?
Eat,
and drink.
and
So they have to get off at some point, unless someone just is doing everything for them or they're hooked up to machines. They just live in like a little bubble, like a little incubator that takes care of you while you're in the VR world.
And imagine like just being in public with this technology and being able to have information on every human being at your fingertips. Like, what if you could walk down the road and you could see that person's religious views, their political affiliation? You could look up, you could see everything there is to know about that person.
This is reminding me of Black Mirror now.
Yeah, it's literally Black Mirror.
There's one episode where everyone gets a ranking.
Yeah.
Of, how many likes they have or something like that. And it just displays all the time.
That's what Mark wants. Mark wants that world.
I don't know. And Mark, do we even think he's human, really?
He keeps saying he's a robot, so clearly
he's saying he's a robot now?
Well, he jokes because he knows people always say that, but in that clip we show,
I don't know, man. There's some clips of him that really have me questioning.
Yeah, I wonder what kind of experimental shit he's done.
We'll have to insert some.
With us, the name of the hotel you stayed in last night?
No.
Well, how do you sustain a business model in which users don't pay for your service?
Senator, we run ads.
I see. That's great.
So obviously we don't want to be a part of the metaverse right now. We're not interested in that. But one thing that is pretty much inevitable at this point is the singularity or transhumanism, which just basically means that at some point as biological beings, we're going to merge with machine, with robots. Like there's going to be a point where either, hopefully we're not required to be microchipped or something like that. You could say that this is transhumanism, just me wearing an Apple Watch on my wrist. It's not attached to me. It's not inserted into my body, but I'm wearing it. So that's already a step towards the singularity. But imagine if one day I look down at my wrist and my wrist is just able to display what my Apple Watch did, just like
that's fucked.
Above it or in my skin or something,
that is
because there's now a screen underneath the layer of skin here.
Ugh,
or instead of like pulling up a phone, you just pull up your hand and you're like scrolling your hand through Twitter.
Because I mean, ultimately, these devices we carry around physically are going to be integrated into us at some point. Like we're not going to just keep carrying it around. Like that's going to evolve, and it's going to all of a sudden be, it could be contacts next or glasses, but then eventually it's going to be just like programmed straight into, our brain. The different body parts are going to be infused with technology. Like Neuralink, Elon Musk company, is trying to cure diseases in the brain, like depression, schizophrenia, blindness, and even paralysis. And I think he just tweeted about it yesterday. He was like, no promises basically, but he believes that. And this is like one benefit of it is like technology allowing people who are quadriplegics or paralyzed in some way to have the ability to use those functions again, like use those limbs again. If you could take somebody who's paralyzed in a wheelchair and with technology allow them to walk again, like
that would be really cool.
Or cure blindness or be able to see again. Like that's the benefits of this technology. But it's like with all of these benefits, there's obviously negatives that come along with it.
Like, it seems like there's more negatives with all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking negatively and I haven't seen enough of the positive.
Right. And he's saying that it looks promising, but again, until we see this technology actually do what he says it's going to do, it's just a pipe dream at that point. But Neuralink's just one example, but for a long time, futurologists have been predicting that the singularity is going to happen where the two sort of become one, kind of that iRobot future world where our world is, there is no difference between a robot versus a human because we are kind of one and the same. We're cyborgs basically with this technology.
That's horrible. I really hope I'm dead by then. That just sounds so awful.
But what if it allowed you to live beyond
No.
the normal lifespan? Would you do it?
No. Not interested.
Even if you were immortal, what if it allowed you to just live for as long as you wanted to? Then you could just
definitely
opt out
not interested
whenever.
in that. I don't want to see how this shit ends. No.
Or what about designer babies? What if we have the ability to actually edit the genes of
don't like
our
that
baby
either. I do not
and
like
make
that.
them look exactly like we want, be the exact gender that we
That's
want,
weird.
be the exact eye color that we want?
I understand like if a parent really wants a specific gender, that's a little more like understandable to me. I wouldn't personally choose to do that, but I get that a little more. I think it could get dangerous when you start picking out their physical features. That's
what they're working on.
Really scares me.
CRISPR, the gene editing tool. CRISPR is the gene editing technology.
Have you run your baby through the CRISPR yet?
They're like, my baby's going to be an NFL player.
Yeah.
Well, my child's going to be on Broadway.
Yeah. Can you actually choose their personality traits or just their physical characteristics?
Well, what is personality? What is that linked to?
See, that's the thing is I believe it's connected to your soul and your consciousness.
Well, we don't even know what the soul is.
Right, but we don't exactly.
So it would just be biological traits. It'd be anything genetic that you could do. So unless you think genetics plays into someone's personality.
No, I don't. I haven't thought about it much, honestly, but
Our genetics,
my first answer is
genetics have something to do with, or is it just physical traits that genetics controls?
Oh, genetics?
Yes.
I thought you meant physical characteristics. Yes, I think your genetics play into your personality, of course. You end up with, traits from your parents. And
what if we could guarantee that our kids don't have anxiety or depression or something, or some type of other extreme mental illness that runs in your family? Alcoholism, even like making sure that your kids don't have the addictive personality.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But sometimes I feel like those things are things that humans go through in order to evolve.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying is I
so
think
it's kind of fucking with that process.
Human evolution is going to slow down dramatically. It's going to be expedited by the technology because once the singularity hits, it's just going to be the technology at the rate at which technology innovates is going to be uncontrollable at that point, and it'll basically be you either join the technological singularity and live that way, or you will be cast away. You will have to go live off grid, or maybe there will be communities out there that still live according to
sure they would be,
old, the old fashioned ways, which would just be like how we live right now. But everybody else is going to be living in this interconnected cyborg world where we're all interconnected with technology. We are robots.
I don't like this. I just don't like change. This is, I like where we're at right now. I could have everything just freeze and stay. I feel like we have just enough technology right now, almost too much.
I think, I already
don't want any more.
So many predict, Ray Kurzweil is the famous futurist at work for Google. He's predicted that the singularity will occur by approximately 2045.
That is not far away.
That is not.
that
With
is
how
not.
fast time's moving, I mean, we're rolling into 2022, so that's 23 years from now.
Yeah. That is scary.
So we could be like at our kids' high school graduations, and they're all
maybe
cyborgs.
it'll be at the
They're all
metaverse. We can have the
It'll be
graduation in the
virtual.
metaverse.
See?
That's the future, though. That's the future,
Oh,
folks.
I hate it. I don't like this.
So if you don't want to be a part of the future, we are going to form our own off-grid community.
Mile Higher community.
The Mile Higher off-grid community where we will not...
That sounds so culty.
There'll be no technology there. We will go back and do it the way our ancestors did.
Even though your podcast is called Mile Higher.
Yeah, seriously, because we're taking it a mile higher.
We'll change it to mile lower. We're going to take it lower then.
Exactly.
Because eventually it's going to get too high.
I really want to know what those of you out there feel about this. Do you think the rate that we're going is good and could ultimately save us? Because there's definitely argument for that.
Will it save us from extinction?
possibly can, could help us solve a lot of problems? Or is it going to create many more problems that it ends up destroying everything we really have?
Or we all become controlled by one thing, and some AI power.
I really want to hear your thoughts on this.
Can we regulate it? That's the big question. Elon Musk even said that's his biggest fear. And he's called out governments right now. He's like, they got to start figuring out how to regulate this shit, because if this technology falls into the wrong hands, it's a scary world that we're looking at. You know, there's this utopia that I think technology could take us to potentially, but there's also this dystopia that very well could exist that could be very frightening and very different from where we're at right now. So
yeah.
Pick your poison.
My brain like hurts after thinking of all of this.
I know. This was a mile higher episode.
Yeah, it really was. But that is where we're going to wrap up this episode today. We definitely want to hear your thoughts. And if maybe you want to see more episodes on topics like this and other things coming in the future, let us know. We will be back with a true crime episode next week, so look forward to that. But until next time,
keep taking your mind a mile higher.